program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
The hyenas have been whooping through the cold and chilly night. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everybody and welcome to another sunrise safari on Safari Live. We've started our morning off by checking the hyena den, but it seems as though nobody is home on this chilly winter's day. My name is Taylor McCurdy and on camera with me today is Craig, and we are very happy to bring you this live and interactive safari. So if you have any questions for us, I'd absolutely love to answer them for you. So hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. That is the only way to, of course, get hold of us. Now it isn't just me out today. Of course, Ali and Sebastian are on the other car, and if you did watch, you noticed that they had a very young hyena. Where are the rest of them? That's what we're going to be trying to finding out today. We did hear them whooping right before the pre-show started. It sounded like they were all out on quarantine, but nobody is home just yet. So right, that means we could still potentially catch them out on the act, moving around, doing all sorts of things that hyenas like to do at night, and that probably consists of looking for food. Right. We are going to go driving about now and just check a variety of boundaries, check and see if Shongile are around. Maybe there's a few hyenas, but I'm going to send you across now to Miss Ali and her dear friend Sebastian. They would like to say good morning, and they've got some elephants.
Good morning! We are very happy to be having a good morning. We're looking at a beautiful herd of elephants all the way out here in the distance. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Seb. And we would like to welcome everyone to Safari Live. If you've got any questions, any comments, please do make sure that you use them just by posting your questions on Twitter using the hashtag Safari Live, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Now, it was funny enough, we were driving down the road and then a hyena made us choose this direction, and then just as we came around here, then we bumped into a herd of elephants. Doesn't seem to be too big, just a few individuals. I think there are too many at the back, but very peacefully having their breakfast this morning. And I think the one that we're looking at, very good chance that this is the oldest female in this particular herd. Oh, I thought we were looking at the other one. That one. That's the one I meant. Sorry, I haven't had enough coffee yet, so I don't know where my brain is doing. I did think the forehead looked a bit funny. Eating lots of bush willows this morning. Are they yummy? I think the elephants have started early today. We are a bit higher up or on higher ground. The weather is, funny enough, not as cold as yesterday, but still there's a bit of a chilly breeze coming through. So I think maybe perhaps that's what made some of the animals a bit more active today. I think. So I'm gonna see if perhaps they stay there. I think the youngsters were sleeping down. No, now they're getting up and they're fighting. Oh, yeah. Naughty you two. Very naughty. Let's see if maybe we can go find a gap behind us just to have a look, because they're in a very playful mood and they've just been breaking branches and twigs, and then for a little while Mom was busy eating, when we were watching her, both of them were lying down. So I think maybe they've been playing for quite a while and they're starting to feel exhausted. Let's see. Well, there's a look at one of them over there. a bit more. Sorry, I'm not gauging the distance. Well, there we go. Oh, I think, well, this is the one that was clearly bullying the other one around, or not bullying, but just playing with him and pushing him. And perhaps to young bulls, they tend to fight or mock fight quite often, just as a way of developing the skills that they're going to need later on in life, but also just out of pure play, just like little children do. I think maybe it's breakfast time. Perhaps that's why they decided to stop all the games. He seems to be choosing one of the trickiest plants to eat. Not too many leaves around there. I wonder if perhaps this is his favorite ones, because there are so many more leaves and everything all around, but he's picking the one tree compared to all of the other ones around that doesn't really have too many leaves. There's a little head. There's a second little head. We've got the older sibling and the younger one. And of course, always carefully guarded by the mother, which is a big elephant that we're looking at there. I'm going to try and reverse a little bit more. I think maybe that's going to be our way, and then see if perhaps we can have another glimpse of that tiny little one moving around. Let's see. Hopefully. We're not too far from the main road, so maybe we'll be able to see them cross the road and just get a view of this tiny troublemaker. Okay, there we go. Whew. So, why did the elephant cross the road? Small group of elephants, 4 of them in total. Daniel, you are 13 years old and you'd like to know what the difference between an elephant and a mammoth is. Well, the big difference is that elephants are alive and they still exist, whereas mammoths do not. They think, or a lot of scientists think, that mammoths are the older evolutionary version of an elephant. So millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago, that's where the elephants came from. But if you look at a mammoth, or what they think a mammoth used to look like, they had very big tusks. I think they were also a lot larger in size, and they had a lot of hair, and they used to live in areas also that were quite cold. Whereas our elephants over here, they are slightly smaller, they have no hair on their skin, and well, they don't occur anymore, or we don't find them anymore in areas where it's particularly cold. There was, however, one record, I can't remember what year, obviously many years ago, in the time of the Romans, that when Rome was a big empire, they wanted to fight and start conquering all of northern Africa. And one of their main enemies was Tunisia, which they used to call Carthago back then. So there was a very, the general, a very famous general, that decided that the best way to attack the Romans was to bring all of the possible forces he could. So he went with all of his elephants, he went around the mountains, the Alps, on top of Italy, just to try and get them all the way down to Rome and attack. Unfortunately, it didn't fare well for them, and the Romans ended up winning that war. And then they put salt all over the city so that nothing else would grow back in Tunisia, which was quite a horrible thing. Ooh. Okay, we shall carry on with our plan of checking the boundaries, but let's go over to Brent in the Masai Mara, who's looking at a spotted animal having breakfast.
Welcome to the magical but murderous Mara today. We are back at the hippo carcass. The hyenas are here. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and for the first time in Kenya, I have Jean-Dri on camera. So we're very excited to be sharing our live experiences with you. Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya, and if you have any questions for us, hit us up on Twitter by using the hashtag #SafariLive. Now, this carcass has been here for about 4 days now. We're convinced this hippo was killed by this clan of hyenas, and they are busy making the most of it. There's probably about 7 or 8 hyenas in total around, but only one who looks to be having a bit of a struggle with some of the, yes, you, a bit of the fat that is highly sought after by the predators, and hippos have a very large subcutaneous fat layer that hyena is getting well and truly stuck into. Of course, at the same time, the hyena's having a spa day. This wonderful volcanic mud. I'm sure we could charge many dollars to submerge someone in it. I'm not sure if we could do that while there's a rotting hippo carcass in it. Here we go, white-backed vulture. And there you can see another hyena quickly there. There we go. The vultures are all on the ground. Kylie is wondering, does the hippopotamus smell? Well, Kylie, we could probably smell it from a good couple of 100 meters away, and let me think of how to describe the smell. If you live in a big city and the refuse gentleman forgot to move their rubbish or remove the rubbish from the street for about a month, that is exactly what this hippo smells like. It is highly, highly vile, but fortunately we are well trained in the arts of avoiding or ignoring bad smells, because generally where there's a bad smell, there's something very interesting to look at. Now, that hippo skin is, on a big male, up to sort of 5 or 6 centimeters thick, and you can see how that hyena is actually struggling to cut through. It's using its premolars, which have a sort of sharpened edge, to basically like a pair of side cutters to try to slice open that thick hippopotamus skin. And I think what's happened is that they've eaten all the good bits that are above the water level as far as they can by putting their heads, oh bless you, Jean-Dre.
Thank you.
By putting their heads right inside. But I think all the decent bits now are below the water surface, or water's a strong word, I would say below the mud soup. And so that hyena is trying to open up the carcass a little bit more, so it can probably get to some of that lovely, gooey, half-rotten, maggot-filled fat. Chris is wondering, did this hippopotamus get stuck, or was it killed by the hyenas by running it in here? I think it was killed by the hyenas. We didn't see it happen, but from the first morning we got here, judging the tracks of the hippo, mostly because the hyena tracks are a little bit harder to see, and the flattened grass, and more so judging by what I heard at night, it was killed by these hyenas. So where we're staying at the moment is a little bit up on the hill there, and you can actually see FC is nearly done. Hi, Final Control. And of course, once Final Control is built, we're going to never let the ladies out of it. They're going to have to stay in their office, and you see that lovely big window? That's for James, that's not for Final Control. We decided Final Control must be bricked up, kept in the dark, must watch their screens to send us questions on time. Of course, we're only joking. We do let Final Control out every now and then. And then, of course, up on top of the rocks is the absolutely gorgeous Angama Mara. That is North Camp, the main area to the right, and the guest room, first guest rooms to the left. Now, it looks like a lot of the hyenas have done their feeding for the day, and they're lying with near the vultures out in the back. Oh, there's a hyena moving just to the left a little. There we go, going through the grass. You can see that a lot of them, even though they're two-toned hyenas, you can actually see the level that it was sitting in the water, even though it was a long time ago, and that one's quite dry now. Oh, change of mind. Oh, there's another hyena there. Ash is wondering whether the hyenas will get ill from eating the rotting flesh, or will they get sick as the kill starts to rot more. Ash, hyenas are incredible, and they have an immune system nearly as strong as mine, so they can eat pretty much anything and not get sick at all. Now, they're especially designed to be able to eat rotting flesh, as that is one of their ecological niches, so they don't get sick from rotten flesh. And most predators, lion, leopard, will eat something that is so putrid you wouldn't think it possible to digest, but their stomachs are designed. They have lots of bacteria and enzymes that enable them to eat the most rotten stuff you've ever seen. Look at that. He's got a fat mustache. So you can see that was actually probably half rotten hippo fat that was hanging on the lips. And what have you heard? Let's have a look with it. Not much. Well, a good morning to a wonderful handle, blue butter frog. It just rolls off the tongue, so wonderful this early in the morning. And a blue butter frog would like to know, will all of that hippo be eaten? Almost all the flesh. I think because it's in that mud like that, it's going to be quite difficult for the hyenas and the vultures to get to that, but it'll rot into the soil, which will actually add nutrients to the soil. Nothing really goes to waste here. Not even the hyenas are going to be able to crack some of the bigger bones on that hippo. And it'll take a long time for those bones to break down. Other animals will utilize those bones though. Porcupine, rodents will chew on the bones to extract calcium, and even giraffe, strange enough, will pick up a smaller bone to chew on. But eventually, probably in about 10 to 20 years, there'll be nothing left. But from a sort of meat and muscle point of view, and sinew and organs, it'll all be gone in a couple of days. The bones will last, the teeth will last the longest, and that is all that'll be left of this hippo. Now, this hippo might be a fossil one day, because it's been killed in this particular section where there's a seep that is getting bigger and bigger every year as the different animals utilize it. So if we wanted to leave something behind, or we wanted to make a fossil, this is probably the type, or not probably, this is the type of area where a fossil could be made. So who knows, maybe in 100,000 years of time, someone is going to dig up this beast, and hopefully they're still around. But if they're not, we're going to have a lovely fossilized hippo. Newly would like to know, can the hyena get stuck in the mud? Hyenas are quite dexterous. I mean, there's always a possibility that they could get stuck in the mud, but I would say the hyena would have to be quite old or injured to truly get stuck in the mud. I think in this type of mud, probably not, but there's always a possibility, and that's the one thing you got to remember. We are live, coming to you from the middle of the African bush, and anything is possible. Now, as that hyena munches on, you can see that fat stuck, almost glued around its canines there. And sorry for our sensitive viewers, but a hyena's got to do what a hyena does. And we'll probably check on this carcass a little bit later in the drive, but I think we might go look for some more savoury sightings, maybe some lions or cheetah. And this morning we're gonna make a mission down towards the main river crossings in the Mara, and see if old Scar has managed to pop across the river for a visit again. But we will come back and check on this sighting. Now, I've got some driving to do, but it sounds like Taylor's already on the road, so let's go see where she's driving to.
Hello again. Well, we've been checking a couple of boundaries, and we decided to have a look all the way up here. We've gone to Cheetah line now. So we're bumbling about. I bumped into Aubrey, and he said that Tingana was moving through the property last night, but he crossed south into Little Gowrie, and so do Shongile's tracks, going straight south. south. Aubrey's searching very, very hard because their tracks don't seem to quite be around. But I thought, Ali's checking the western sector, I better come up this way and let's just see if anybody wasn't walking around over here. But it's been a lovely morning so far. It's a little bit quiet, but I feel like it's maybe because it's a bit cold and there's a bit of a breeze about, so perhaps that will change. The sun is only just peering over the tops of the trees now. We haven't got any golden grass just yet, but I reckon in the next 5 minutes or so it'll be quite lovely. So that's our sort of plan. We still don't know what happened to Tumba and where he disappeared to and where Tundi is, but we might go and drive around on Chitwa in the next half an hour or so. That's probably going to be our plan. James, you said perhaps it's Feline Friday. Maybe, you never know. I think so. I think Brent's hoping them like an Ali, well, the cat whisperer of the Sabi Sad. I'm sure she's going to pull a lion up from underneath his sleeve. I don't know where she finds all these animals, all the luck that she has, but the bush really does seem to like her quite a bit. Good on Ali, that's very, very cool. Now, there's not much in terms of predator activity. I've seen a couple of hyena tracks. We heard them last night. I didn't hear them at all. So you can see that we're very busy even down here. Let me show you all the hyena tracks quickly. They were looking at all sorts of things last night. I don't know, it looks like there was more than one maybe running here, unless it was the same one doubling back on itself. So let me find some nice ones. They're all running over the top of each other, so it's difficult to find one individual track. Well, I'll just circle an entire area, Craig. If you look all the way around here, there's a track, there's another track, there's half a track. So they're just going up and down, up and down. Very, very sort of busy. And I'm really hoping, I still haven't found any anal pastings. I know that's a harsh word to talk about first thing in the morning, but they're so interesting for hyenas, sort of scent marking. And I haven't found any hyena pastings up here. When I was down in the Eastern Cape, we used to see so many from the brown hyena, but we also used to see from the spotted hyenas as well. But I don't seem to see them here. Anyways, so the brown hyena has got two types of anal pasting. So the first part is white and the second part is brown. The white part of it is actually long lasting, and of course, as you know, they perform this, I don't even know what to call it, but this entire movement that they do over bits of vegetation, typically grass. And so as I was saying, the white bit on the brown hyena is long lasting, so that normally lasts about a month, maybe just a little bit more, and the other one's only a week or two. And then with the spotted hyenas, they just have the one. They've just got the brown bit. I haven't seen any here, and I look all the time. They're quite difficult to spot, but once you get your eye in, it's actually quite easily. Now, I would really like to find some hippos today. I wouldn't mind going to a dam, but I know that there's plenty of gremlins around there at the moment. So I don't know if we'll be there's a whole things I want to show you. A very interesting experience the other day. Also dam, I'm sure we'll see our friend that hangs around there. But for now, we're just going until we find any or hello thing. I think we just have to stop. Do we have to stop? How's that? Is it getting better? Cool. Right. Okay. So it seems as though there are gremlins even on Cheetah this morning, so I'm going to send you back across to Ali.
Well done, Taylor. I'm sure she can fight off any gremlin that comes her way, and if she doesn't, then we'll go and help her. We have been checking the boundary just to see if perhaps the lions decided to come back all the way from the south, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like they did. So I will not lose hope. We're gonna carry on moving around. Perhaps we'll find something else, and if not, then, well, once we're done with the boundary, maybe we can do another. No, I'm joking. We'll carry on looking for other things. But like I said, there were reports for the Nkuhumas being on Simbambili yesterday, so I was kind of hoping that they would have moved out, but no, they're still in there, maybe warming up because it's getting a bit windier as the sun starts shining. So maybe they're just playing it safe and sticking up around in that area. Because I know the northern part of Simbambili has lots of gory bushes for them to hide in, and it's a bit thicker, so I reckon it's a good place if they want to just keep the cubs and take it easy for a day. But other than those beautiful ellies we saw, we haven't really seen much else. Just a few birds fluttering around here and there. So I think maybe I'm gonna give up with this road quite soon and go look for something else. And hopefully the lions will come back later on today. Hello. Let's go carry on the busy road. I just saw one of my friends, so I got very excited because I haven't seen her for a while. Angel, you're wondering how many lions we can have in a group, in a pride of lions. It depends. I've seen prides to be as big as 1 female and 2 cubs, and I've seen prides be as big as 30 lions. So it really depends on a particular area and how well a pride does. If they have a lot of female offspring, then that is a good thing for the pride, because then the pride tends to grow in numbers, because the females will normally stay in the pride that they were born in. But if they keep having a lot of males, then it's a bit of a complicated system, because then in general, if there's a dominant male, he will push the cubs out, or the females will start pushing the cubs out as well, and just force them into independence, and they will move off onto another area. But you can imagine, for smaller prides of lions, it's easier to find food and to go hunting, whereas for bigger prides of lions, when you have, let's say, more than 10 of them between adults and cubs, they've got to keep hunting and finding bigger things. So a lot of the times, if it's not something really big, they will not be bothered, because something like an impala or a water buck might not be enough for them. So maybe they'll try to go for bigger things like giraffes and buffalo and kudu. Okay, let's see. Maybe we'll come back onto this road that looked quite shiny and beautiful. Let's say good morning, shall we? Got a beautiful Cape Glossy starling looking at us, who hasn't flown away. Don't fly away. Stay there. Well, that was not nice. I swear that I think that the birds play a game with us. They'll stand there, look very pretty, and be like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And the minute the camera zooms in on them, they're like, oh, no, thank you, I'm going. Bye-bye. That was very mean. Alright, let's see. I haven't seen tracks for pretty much anything else crossing around here. I think it's been quite quiet all around in the morning for everyone. And like we were commenting on yesterday, sometimes the wind has that effect on wildlife. Even the ellies, that we were looking at earlier, when they came across the road, you see that for a moment there was a bit of like, hesitation. No, nothing there. Well, we've got a group of boys looking at us. It's nice to see you. You're looking very pretty this morning. And of course, this is the mighty Impala that we hadn't seen up to now. And we've just got 3 boys. See, they're all looking quite alert, aren't they? All in between the bushes. Are you going back in? Are you cold? Now, there isn't a lot of feeding going on, except this one. Maybe he's the one that really hungry. But the other 2 are with their heads up, listening to everything that's around them. And when the wind starts swirling the way it is now, when it starts blowing a bit harder, then a lot of sounds get maxed away. So normally in stormy conditions, it's a good chance for the predators like the lions and the leopards to successfully make a kill. But I think this wind came at a good time, if I can put it that way, for the impala, because we are having a very beautiful full moon tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And yesterday the moon was very bright, so it's not as easy for some of the predators to hide around in those light conditions, or moonlight conditions, I should say. And you can tell that they're still slightly cold just by the way their hair looks. It's still a bit raised, and they're just trying to use their hair to trap that little bit of warmth that they're exuding from their body. And it's almost like having an hot air jersey all around them to keep warm. It's almost like when we get goosebumps, they are pretty much the same, but they're doing it to keep warm. Because obviously they can play around with certain options that they've got, like going into thicker bush, or just standing in a place where it's less windy, or going into higher ground. But this, we'll see them do it often, especially during the winter months, once it starts getting a lot colder than what it is now. And this fascinating ability, or this fascinating skill, is called piloerection. So they raise all their little hairs. It almost seems like you can go and pet them, isn't it? Beautiful colors. Full belly. Should we leave you guys around? Are you guys happy for us to leave? I think the impala are pretty happy if we go. I don't think they're too chatty today. Maybe just having a slow start of the day. It is the weekend soon, isn't it? What day is it? Is today Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Ah, there we go. Maybe they're having a long weekend. All right, animals. Dana, you're wondering if the full moon affects animal behavior. Yes and no. So I know we as humans, we like, if you're looking at astrology or horoscope, maybe you'll think that it'll affect their particular mood in a certain way. Not as far as I know, but it does affect them when they go hunting. So in nights where there's no moon, you'll see that the lions and the leopards will perhaps have, or hyenas even, will have a higher success when they go hunting, because the animals, their prey species, cannot see as far during the night because there is no extra light for them to look at. Imagine if you're walking in the dark, even in days when there's a full moon, you're able to see farther away. So nights of full moon, everyone can see a lot better, so it's harder for the predators to actually find their prey species or get as close to them as they should. Hello, morning.
How are you guys?
Good, thanks, and you?
Good, alright.
Yeah, that's good. Have you guys had any luck with any lions on your side? Nothing.
Not that I know of it.
Okay,
That
cool.
side was shadow and a cub, but between the Bulgarian and France.
Okay, alright. Thank you.
Good.
Right. Well, a good efficient way of finding what's around you is just asking people of the other properties, so if they've got anything. So lions are missing pretty much from everywhere, it would seem. But Shadow and her cub are still doing well, but they've gone onto Little Gowrie. Between Little Gowrie and Hoffman's, which are areas that unfortunately we do not traverse with. So maybe let's go drive around there. Perhaps maybe later on she'll come back up, because yesterday she seemed to be doing a lot of walking up and down. Maybe she was just trying to take the cub to a kill or bring it back, and I'm sure she would. Well, yesterday she enjoyed playing a lot of games with Taylor. But going back to the moon question, we just normally when we see the full moon, we joke around and we're like, oh, they're not gonna eat tonight. because it's just slightly harder for them, and perhaps because there is a lot of moonlight and a lot more light available to all the animals, so they might be slightly more active during the night time, and then that they would normally be in any other night when there's less moonlight. I think the moon affects us all. Thought maybe that was something up there, but not really. The wind is howling now. Consulting detective, you're wondering if there are any nocturnal animals that I would love to see during the day. Yeah, there are a few. I'd love to see a bush baby during the day. I have seen them before, but they just jump around. So bush baby would be one. Serval and caracal for sure. I would love to see them, and an African wildcat somewhere around there. And of course, a pangolin. How can I forget the pangolin? Oh, can you imagine also seeing an aardvark during the day? That would be fantastic. I know that in certain areas or in certain reserves in South Africa where it gets very cold, so I'm thinking more desert-like areas, the pangolins and the aardvarks and maybe some of those nocturnal creatures, they actually only start moving at midday, or they keep on moving later on into the day. So it's a lot easier to see them. I think there's one reserve, Twalu, in the Kalahari, that, you know, it's very famous for all the wonderful pangolin and aardvark sightings that you get all the way over there. So who knows, maybe now that as we're getting into winter, we'll get a bit of a better chance of seeing any of these creatures around, and that would be pretty amazing just to see them during the day, as I haven't seen them here. None of the ones that I mentioned before in the Sabi-San. I've seen them maybe in Kruger or in other reserves, but not here. And this is home, so I would really like to see them here. It's like something that you've got to tick off of your list. Sorry, let me just, Taylor's trying to get, yeah, Taylor, I can copy you. Alright. I think Taylor's been having a bit of problems with her radio, so she just wanted to make sure that everything run! Okay, another impala running away. I was going to ask. Epic. Angel, you'd like to know what the fastest animal is in this area? What I would have to say, cheetah. They are the fastest land mammal, and I believe the peregrine falcon is just the fastest of them all, land and, well, of the air, if we can put it that way. Cheetahs can run up to 100 kilometers an hour, but again, they can only sustain that speed for just a few seconds, and they're very, very fast, and they are the ones that we get around here. But also certain times of the year we get beautiful falcons that come back from their migration, and they start nesting here. So they can fly, if I'm not mistaken, up to I think maybe let's carry on to Twin Dams, maybe along the water we'll see something. They can fly up to 200 kilometers an hour, which is like a Formula 1 car. Can you imagine just flying at that speed, and when you have to brake? That to me is incredible, how they manage to get into such speeds. But I think a lot of it is involved also when they're flying downhill. Perfect stuff. steenbok. Sorry guys, I was listening to the radio because they were giving an update about lions, but unfortunately these are lions in Manyeleti. So I wonder if maybe the Nkuhumas haven't actually moved out and then gone back to Manyeleti and they're doing a bit of a different loop around. But this beautiful creature we're looking at is a steenbok. One of the smallest antelope we get around this area, but this is a fully grown one. Gone. Oh God. Let's see what else is around here. Everything's kind of taking their time into coming out. And this is roughly the area where Shadow crossed into, but no signs of her maybe being indecisive and coming back up, which is a bit unfortunate. But maybe we shall try again this afternoon. You never know. Nothing around here. I think I just saw a brown hornbill fly ahead of us. Let's see if perhaps we can get the rest of the group. They're very beautiful, very prehistoric looking like birds. We're gonna see if maybe we can find them flying ahead of us, all of them. What a big flock! I think it was about 6 or 7 of them. At least we managed to have a bit of a look, but we'll see if maybe they do decide to come back. But in the meantime, let's go over to Brent and see how the Mara is doing.
Well, we are at the most exciting and one of the most monumental moments in Safari Live history, and for the second time ever I'm very privileged to be able to join Hayden Turner to be able to show you one of the most endangered animals in Africa. And we have the black rhino, well in this case the East African black rhino, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about whether we should or shouldn't and show them, but this is a completely different ecosystem to the Sabi Sands. There's only about 30 left in the whole Mara, and they are constantly monitored every day by rangers. They know where each individual is. I've actually seen this particular rhino from up in the air. It is the dominant bull that rolls around the Mara River, and this is just too exciting. I actually can't contain myself. And just one word tweet: how does seeing a rhino live in Kenya make you feel? Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. One word tweet: how does it make you feel to see a black rhino for the first time ever in Safari Live history? Because I think the only other rhino ever shown was a white rhino. So there we go, a black rhino bull marching off into the thickets. This is just too incredible for words. Now, we've seen quite a lot of them, well, a lot of the individuals that live around here, and he is a particularly feisty character. He's got such wonderful attitude. He even gave us a little snort when we first saw him. But I think he's on a mission heading up towards directly below Ngama, where there might be a girlfriend or two, although his girlfriend in this area has got a sub-adult and is not quite willing to accept his advances just yet. This is just too incredible for words. Now, I know, as I said, a lot of people were umming and ahhing and whether this is the right decision or wrong decision, and we've discussed, and I've lost comms with Final Control, so I'm just going to keep talking for now. And so, there we go, they're back. Okay, they're back. So what has happened is we've discussed with the management of the Mara and everyone, and of course if anything changes we will change that decision, but we're under them. Well, I'm personally under the feeling that the more you know something, the more you like something, the more you love something, the more you will protect something. Oh, there we go. Our first one-word tweet from Angelina. Astounded. Yes, it is astoundingly wonderful, Angelina. And he is going to disappear quite soon into those thickets, but we're going to enjoy every last second with him while we can. Now, as I said, these rhino are actually monitored on a daily basis. Out of a 24 period, they probably have 8 hours where rangers spend time with them and watch them. And this is actually a rhino we don't see as often because he tends to be in the no off-roading zone around the Mara River. So this is extra special to see this particular gentleman as he's on his morning march. Mary, astounded. Well, Mary, I am astoundingly happy to be able to share this experience with you. And one must remember that, like animal behavior in different parts of Africa, we have different situations and different views that warrant different responses, and that's why we are comfortable showing a rhino in the Mara. And the fact that these animals are so well protected, and that the guys here do such a fantastic job keeping an eye on them, and the Maasai people are so proud of the wildlife heritage they have, that I feel for any poacher who tries to come here, because he might end up on the end of a spear. Even the frogs are giving us a slow clap, almost. It rained quite a bit last night, so the frog life is booming this morning. Sarah, I think Sarah's actually hit the nail on the head here in terms of that one-word tweet, honoured. I think that is perfectly said, Sarah. I'm incredibly honoured to be able to share this with you, and we're all honoured to see probably one of the most amazing creatures in the whole of Africa. I have a particular soft spot for black rhino in particular, not quite as soft as Jamie. Jamie's worked with them and spent a lot of time and studying them and watching them. I've been chased up a tree numerous times by them, but there is something incredible about being able to see, and as Sarah said, we're honoured to be able to witness this rhino as he disappears into the thicket. He's about to, or he's going to stop for a snack. Oh, he's stopping to mark his territory. So one of the big differences between white rhino and black rhino is that a black rhino will kick its tongue around, it'll spread it, whereas a white rhino will generally also spread it, but not as much. And there's a wonderful Impala story about why a black rhino. Well, Dina, are those oxpeckers on the rhino? Yes, they are, Dina. Now, there's a wonderful Impala story which comes from Zimbabwe about why the black rhino spreads his tongue. So, the black rhino likes to eat bushes, and particularly he likes to eat thorny bushes like acacias and dicrostachys. And while he was feeding, he went through a particularly thorny patch and slit open his side. And it was quite sore, and he wanted to get some stitches, but he didn't know how to stitch. So he went to the only animal in the African bush that has a needle. Who else would you go to but the porcupine? So he went to the porcupine and borrowed a quill, and he stitched up his side, and then on his way back he was carrying the quill in his mouth. And black rhinos have this particular trot, they sort of, and while he was trotting and breathing, as they breathe quite heavily, he just went, and he swallowed the quill. And he's been, to this day, too embarrassed to go to porcupine because he's never been able to return the quill. So when he has a movement, as James Henry would say, he kicks it around, and he's continuously searching for that porcupine quill so he can return it to porcupine and they can maintain their friendship. It's probably been about 1 million years now, so he's probably out of luck. but that rhino has disappeared. That was just too incredible. I didn't catch the name there, but someone was asking about rhino vocalizations, and black rhino vocalizations in particular are some of my favorite. I'm going to embarrass myself heavily by trying to mimic, but they talk in squeaks and squeals is the best way to describe it. Now that sounds nothing like a black rhino, but I tried. But wasn't that incredible? A black rhino bull, it's the first for me ever on Safari Live, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and please understand that we didn't go into this lightly. There was lots of discussion with the management of the park, the rangers, the Maasai people who own the land today, and it wasn't something we just decided, oh, we're going to do it now. There was obviously a lot of consideration, and if something happened to change and we felt that we were in any way aiding the nefarious factions of the world in terms of getting hold of rhino, we would stop it again immediately. And so, as I said, it's not something we went into lightly, and we were just very honored and privileged that we are able to show these incredible creatures, and the rhino monitors do such an amazing job here, and they're actually, out of the 30-yard black rhino that are in the Masai Mara system, on a daily average, almost every single one of those animals is monitored for more than a few hours a day to make sure that they are safe. And as I said, I feel sorry for a poacher who walks into this place. He might end up on the wrong end of a spear. So, yay! Wasn't that amazing? So we're going to do a little bumble down the road. So Jandre is going to take you on a little wander around with the camera. So, Fuzzman Sparkles, number 44 for your mammal list. Isn't that absolutely incredible? And it's a big one, literally, and also one of the best ones to see. So, Jandre is going to take you on a little tour of the Mara while I jump down into my turret and move slightly further down the road. Jandre, are you up for it? There, Jandre sounded like a black rhino. That was actually far closer to a black rhino sound than I could do. So, as I say, onward. So I'm not going too far. I'm just trying to get to a spot where it's called Majandege, which basically means a water bird. So we're going to try to do some birding. I'm just too excited to find lots of things. Oh! And there is a Topy. Hello, Topy. So, this policeman of the Masai Mara is not doing much policing this morning, is having his morning breakfast. Now, it is a male Topy. They are such funny looking creatures. And as you look carefully on his horns, there's remnants of mud, and the males will dip their horns into the mud to try and make themselves look more impressive to other males. Well, he's being a bit shy this morning and he's moving on, so we're going to do the same. While we do that, let's go to someone who's moving around Djuma. Let's go see what Ali's up to.
What amazing news! I am so happy for all of you that Brent managed to show you an incredible black rhino. I'm sure that must have been a great experience. Wow. Yeah, I've got no words. I'm sure that was something quite special, and I hope you guys will. And I'd love to see some of those screenshots later on when I get back, because the ones are just beautiful. We're just going through a bit of a bad patch here. We're gonna go up because I know our signal gets better up there. Hopefully we will get lucky. Still nothing around this area. It seems like everything's devoid of animals today. Not even too many friendly birds moving around. So I wonder if perhaps maybe the dogs have been around chasing everything, or everyone's cold, or the lions came back, although I don't think that's the case. Bit of a morning mystery for all of us. But I think maybe what I need to do is look for lucky beans again. Maybe our lucky beans will save us and show us some more cool things. But I haven't seen any more lucky beans either. I'm sure we'll be just fine. Let's see what is around here. Right, doesn't seem like there is too much life happening in this particular area. Hopefully we'll be able to just come across anything. I'm not being picky right now. Anything would be fine. We are going to carry on driving, see if perhaps we come across anything, but let's go over to Taylor, who I believe is also driving around.
We're not just driving, we've actually got a couple of animals, but at the moment they're hiding away. But there's a lovely family of kudu that we can have a look at. Now, look at that little one. Did you see how it took a massive step out to see what we are? It's okay, little one, you'll get used to the cars. Now, we are seeing lots and lots of young kudu at the moment, which is normal. There's another little one just to the left. Look how sweet it is. Probably only about, I would say, 2 or 3 months old now. They grow up so quickly, but they really are beautiful. And again, we can now, as they walk through this thicket, you can really see the change of season coming through quite clearly as the leaves start to turn that sort of rusty red color, and we're going to see all the yellow leaves, obviously the golden grass. It's so beautiful at the moment. But it's not just the kudu here. There's an entire herd of elephants, and they're just feeding in the thicket. They had a quick drink at Buffelshoek Dam, and then they're now making their way through the thicket. So we're just being quite patient at the moment, hoping that they're going to show themselves. There's one of the females, and little ones again. See how they're so curious at us? Because they haven't really had too many interactions with the vehicles just yet, they're a little bit uncertain. Sort of like that little leopard cub yesterday. Just not exactly sure what's going on. Probably very interested in the sound of our voice. See how both ears are pointed forward, listening to us, not really paying attention to anything else. Which is, again, it's inexperience, but this little one has luckily got mom and other members of the family close by. And sometimes they'll even come right up to your car to get a better look. And you notice that's what this little kudu keeps doing, is every time it goes behind a shrub and it can't see us, it takes a couple of steps out and then comes straight back to us. Craig, if I put my foot on the clutch and we roll back a little bit, would that help you out? Just to see that the face of that little one. How's that? Oh, is that no. Just that slight movement was enough to unsettle that little kudu. So even though I was still quite quiet, it's sometimes quite difficult to try and habituate them. But eventually, having, again, like we experienced yesterday, just having positive interactions with these animals doesn't necessarily have to be a long one. Will start to make them settle down. Now I can see the ellies are coming out. They're just to this termite mound. You can see them poking their little noses, their little trunks, and I wonder, because there's so many little elephants here, they're coming slowly. If you go in there, that's an elephant. Can you believe it? That's an elephant. There's a whole herd. Because of all the young calves that are in here, I wonder if they're going to play or try and chase some of these kudu around, because I did hear some very frisky young calves that were trumpeting just a moment ago, whether they were sulking or throwing a tantrum because they couldn't get a drink of milk from mom, or maybe they were playing. Maybe one of the older siblings got a little bit too rough, but it was enough to make a little elephant trumpet. But that's a young one, not one of the smallest ones of the herd though. Probably an older calf, maybe a few years old, but we'll be able to see when they move out from around that termite mound. But I'm just so happy because we saw so many elephant tracks the whole morning, and dung and branches and bits of grass in the road, and they were just sort of teasing us. So I went and I tried to track a whole group of them, and then they sneakily snuck across into Torchwood, which I thought was not very nice, considering we put a considerable amount of effort into looking for them. And then I thought, well, let me go back to my original plan. Let's come to Buffelshoek Dam because I wanted to tell you a story about a hippo. And then, well, we found many animals, and I'm glad the elephants were here too. But we will go back to the hippo so I can tell you the story, about the interesting behavior that I observed the other day. But they're very peaceful now, these elephants. Even all the little ones have gone quite quiet. And I'm actually going to sit quietly because it's quite nice. You can hear a whole lot of birds just starting to chirp now. You should be able to hear the magpie strikes. That choo, but sort of a mechanical, more of a mechanical noise. Not quite, I can't do the magpie shrike call very well. That's a tough one to do. There's some chin spot batters that are also calling. The odd starling chirping. And then of course you should be able to hear the rustling of the leaves in the grass as the elephants move through this thick patch. Oh, Craig, look at this beautiful kudu bull that's just popped out. I have to show you him. Look how gorgeous he is before he disappears. So he's also now tailing that breeding herd of kudu that are just moving through the thicket now. We're not being watched by the youngsters anymore. They seem to have lost interest in us. Hello, boy. And he'll be moving through. He's not really a part of the herd, just as big elephant bulls aren't. They come through from time to time. Of course, they check the females to see if they're in estrus. He will hang around there for a little bit. But once the winter season is over, we don't normally see the kudu bulls with the breeding herds at all. Little kudu? Yes, you're very interested in us, aren't you? You're still watching us. It's hard to see, but it's just behind the branches. Yes, you. And very fluffy still as well. I always notice with the younger animals, they've got a much fluffier coat than the adults do, and they eventually will lose that. It's just to help keep them warm through those chillier nights. You even see that with elephants. They look sometimes a bit hairy. And the elephant is about to pop out. It's just behind this buffalo thorn. Now, Catherine, you're wondering if the animals get winter coats. Some of them do, but I think in this particular area, it's not necessarily noticeable. And the reason why is just because our winters are very mild. They're quite warm. Obviously, I'm layered up, but I haven't got very much to keep me warm, whereas these animals are used to these temperatures. So this morning was a little bit chilly. There's a bit of a nip in the air. It feels like there's a bit of ice in the wind today. I don't think it's going to get very hot at all. I think we're going to have, the sun will be out, there'll be a couple of clouds scattered about. So with that just being said, this will be one of the cooler days that we have. So for an elephant, for an impala, it really is not much. It doesn't bother them at all, so their coat doesn't have to change much at all. It does slightly. It will probably get a little bit thicker over time, but then they lose that as well. Because remember, yesterday was when the high 20s. I think it was almost 30 degrees at one point. It was exceptionally hot for a winter's day. But so they don't really have to worry about it. Now I'm just looking. Here comes this elephant. It's just starting to sneak out behind the buffalo thorns. And I'm hoping that it will eventually, just behind the next one, just a little bit to the right of where you are. It might be difficult. If you go in a little bit closer, there we go. You should be able to see it. It's very difficult, but you can just see its trunk moving around every now and then. And you can anyone actually spot the elephant? I can see it. I can see exactly where it is. And if you're struggling to spot it, just look for very subtle movements to the left of your screen. Every now and then you'll see sort of like a shadow moving behind those thorns, behind that thorn tree. And they're feeding a lot on the buffalo thorns at the moment. They're very delicious. I even tasted the leaf the other day. There you go. You can see it. If you look very, very carefully, you can see movement. I can see it on my monitor, so all of you should be able to see it. You've just got to focus very, very, very carefully. Now, those buffalo thorns aren't necessarily dense thickets, if that makes any sense. So it's not like a quarry tree, but it just shows you again, and camouflage is so important to these animals, even something like a big grey elephant. But I'll show you one that you can see, Craig. At the termite mound, there's a little elephant just coming out. And hopefully it will come back around this way. But even just hiding behind some tall grass, this elephant looks a bit like a rock. And then it's amazing how a lot of you are struggling to spot that elephant behind the buffalo thorn. Now, little baby elephant, little elephant calf, if you come out towards me, you're going to see some kudu. And I know that if you see kudu, you are going to be very excited, because this little one can't be more than about 6 months. I was just watching it a moment ago. It was swinging its trunk around, and it really didn't have very good control of it at all. And I find when they are that age, actually young elephants in general, just are so curious about other animals, and they want to see, can I play with you? Will you play with me? And no. Normally the other animal just runs away in fear that that little elephant could turn into 10 big elephants if it trumpets or it lets off a distress call. So no one really wants to play with the little ones. Some of my favorite sightings that I've actually had with elephants and encounters with other animals has been with rhinos, which is quite interesting. Black and white rhinos. And I've had it where a white rhino, female, and her calf, also quite a young calf, just a few months old. Now, white rhino can be quite stubborn. They don't want to have to move out of the way, which I always love. So you have an entire herd of elephants, and I've got some really cool pictures from my years, standing with a wall, looking at this rhino, and then you'll have mom and little calf standing there looking back at them as if to say, I'm not going anywhere, you move. I was here first. I've been grazing here all morning. And eventually, you know, the big Ellie cow will flap her ears and maybe charge, or they just lose interest in each other and they move about. But the little rhino too can be quite feisty. He'll start charging at the herd, which is obviously quite a dangerous thing to do. But there's been some amazing encounters, and they're coming right towards us now too, which is really cool. There's little babies are coming out just to the right, walking the same route that the kudu walked. This is so cool. Yes, little one, keep going. You're going to see the kudu. And I can see, as you watch this little one, I'm looking at the corner of my eye, and I can see the young kudu calf that we were staring at a moment ago, or the one that was staring at us. It was actually just sort of lingering towards the back of the herd. I wonder what's going to happen now. Oh, this is perfect. You see? I'm glad we didn't drive away and we waited for them to come out, because the whole herd is now coming towards us. Hello, ladies. Hello, big girl. Are you guys going to be happy with me today? Now, this is always very important. When you do arrive at an elephant sighting, obviously I've been moving amongst them for quite some time, but they were in the thicket, and most of you know I don't off-road for elephants, so I just decided to wait for them to come out, which I think has worked, because they've heard my voice, because I'm not the quietest person, so they would have heard me. They're quite comfortable with my presence now. The car's not moving around. I sometimes find that elephants can get a little bit sort of, you have to be quite sensitive around them when you're moving the car around, and they do have little elephants. Hello, girl. I know you don't seem like you're too certain to me. This one here on the left, she just keeps looking back at me. Hi, girl. It's okay. And earlier she was the same one that flapped her ears at me. But she's settling down now. Now, Rebecca, you hope that these little elephants play. I hope so too. I hope that the little ones go charging off in the direction of the kudu, because I think that could be quite funny. Obviously, the moms are all going to have an absolute heart attack. They're going to start panicking, not really realizing what's going on, because they're just going to hear the trumpets coming quite loudly from their youngsters, and they don't ask any questions. When a little one trumpets, they run straight over to find out what's upsetting them. So it will be quite exciting for the elephants, and I think a little bit disturbing for the poor kudu. They'll probably dart off across the road and head for cover, maybe in the drainage line. Oh, look how she's easily picking that branch up. Oh, this is great. So now we're seeing the elephants exhibit their winter behavior. And I say winter behavior is because this is something that we normally see, them picking up big branches and moving them out of the way to feed on all the nice lush grass that's growing underneath it. We see it with zebra, how they stick their heads underneath guarri trees to feed upon all the grass. It hasn't been eaten yet and growing in the shade, and it's very, very clever. That little elephant is so cute. It is going after the kudu, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Straight through here, a little bit, I think we're a little bit to the left, so where that one is, just up and to the right of that, I think it's too thick. You can see them just moving behind that elephant on the left, and there's that teeny tiny little elephant we were looking at a moment ago, and that is just off to the right, but it keeps going towards the kudu, trying to control its trunk and putting its trunk up in the air and smelling them. But the kudu are not allowing for the elephants to get close. Look, they've just come out over here. Yes, girl, we're talking about you. We're talking about how the elephants are moving you out of your browsing area. See how cautious she's being as she crosses the road and heads into the next thicket? You see that? Ears forward. She's sort of quite low down, just making sure that there's nothing hiding behind one of those shrubs. Here come the rest of them. There's that little tiny calf that was watching us. Yes, I know you would also just love to play with a little elephant, wouldn't you? But there you can see that fluffiness that I was talking about. And then the next one, oh, there comes a kudu. See that white flash on the tail, another calf. That's always so beautiful to see that beautiful white flash. And that, of course, is a follow me sign. You can see it really does stand out in the bush when they're hopping through the long grass and through the bush willow thickets that are very prevalent in this area. And there's a young boy going. Who's next? Where's that big kudu bull that we saw? The elephants are herding them. They can't help themselves, these elephants. They have to chase those kudu away. Now, I would probably just follow big herds of elephants around all the time, because I think you're quite safe when you're around a herd of elephants. I don't know if there's too many things that want to bother you, and we've seen on a number of different occasions where lions have been feeding on buffalo, for example, or a buffalo have been distressing. We had that sighting with Byron where the lions were trying to take down the buffalo, and the buffalo was obviously calling, and some elephants came into the rescue. So they do react to many different other animals' sort of distress calls. But look how close she's come. So this also just shows me that they're completely relaxed with my presence now, and not bothered at all. You can even just see the front of the car just sticking into the shot there. So she's only about 10 meters away from us. But again, we didn't drive up to her. She was quite happy to approach us. Now, Leo, you're wondering if female or cow and bull elephant skulls are very different, or if they're the same, or is it just the tissue structure? Do you know what? I haven't actually had the opportunity to ever look at an elephant cow skull before. I've seen many elephant bull skulls, and obviously one of the differences between males and females is that a female has got a very sort of sharp, angular forehead, and you can see that even as she just looks towards us like that, whereas the bulls have got a more rounded skull. So I'm not actually sure if it's the tissue or if it is just the actual shape. I'll have to have a look. Now, unfortunately, you don't ever see too many elephant skulls around, thankfully. Like I said, I've only ever seen the elephant bull skull before. So I have a friend though who has an Ellie cow skull, so I'll have to get them to send me a couple of pictures perhaps, and then I can compare the two. So Leo, I'm actually not sure, but perhaps somebody else knows out there. Maybe you've had a look. I could always go and pull up a picture on the interweb, but I'd like to see it obviously firsthand. But maybe some of you know, and you can let me know. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, which would be quite nice, I think. But a very interesting question. Thank you, Leo, for that. See, just had enough. She ate what she wanted to eat, and now she's going to move on again. Just feeding past there. Let's reposition very quickly. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to poke my nose out a little bit further on the road. And actually, it'll be interesting to see what their reaction is now that I start the car, because sometimes some animals just don't like it. No reaction at all. Now, I don't know if there must be at least 15 or 20 of them or so. They're all moving around in different pockets. And Robert, you were actually wondering how many elephants make up a herd. Hello, girl. I'm just going to get us into... No, it's okay, relax. It's still me. I'm still the same person that you fed right next to the car. So don't worry. She's not too happy now, but let's just see. It's okay. You were just here with us. Well, we were just here with you, sorry. Sorry, Robert, I'll get to your question now. I know it sounds silly that I'm talking to the elephants, but they're really amazing at picking up tone in your voice. And I've done it many a times. All the guides that talk to animals have been easily able to diffuse a situation just by the sound of your voice. So again, it just shows you how intelligent these creatures are. You know, it's one thing shouting and raising your voice at an animal. That's enough to scare anything. But you can almost calm them down. It really does sound completely bizarre, but I promise you, I've done it so many times. We've all done it so many times that it can't be a coincidence. So sorry, Robert. It depends. You know, sometimes you'll see a small breeding herd of, 2 elephant cows and their offspring, and they might have 2 calves each. So, as little as 5 or 6 elephants can make up a herd, but typically, a breeding herd, well, the description of a breeding herd of elephants is females that are closely related with their offspring. Obviously, once the bulls reach a certain age, they move out and push out and do their own thing, but the girls will always stay here. But again, I suppose that's not always true too, because sometimes, maybe due to lack of resources, something could go wrong in the herd that we maybe don't understand, and it could quite easily push them out as well. But I've seen massive herds of elephants before. Whether they were one family, probably not. But I have seen a herd of about 150 elephants before. I spent entire 3 hours with them in the southern sands. It was one of my best experiences with elephants. Because as you know, we're really lucky and we're experiencing it right now. The elephants in the Sabi Sands, and they're obviously free roaming, and they can move into the Kruger National Park. They can head up to Zimbabwe and sort of the areas of Mozambique, into maybe areas that are not as protected as well and have bad experiences with people, vehicles, farmers, this type of thing. And obviously they don't get that down here. They're very, very relaxed. Whereas when you go into Zambia, when I was in the Lower Zambezi National Park, you could not get close to the elephants at all. There was a lot of elephant poaching still going on, which was quite sad. So the relationship that they have with the cars and people is a negative one. So they see you, they trumpet at you, they mock charge. Sometimes it's not even a mock charge, and they really are coming over to you to try and sort you out. So you would have to watch them from a distance. And there's something so special about having elephants quite close to your car. Obviously, you need to be very careful about this because you can get yourself into a very dangerous situation. But as long as you're reading their behavior correctly and you're making sure, that you have got your escape routes constantly and not letting them get too close, then it's all right. Then it's okay. So to be able to do that with 150 elephants, and they were playing, some of them were climbing up termite mounds and they were sliding down as if it was a slide and a game that was put there for them to play with. It was just amazing how creative the little ones were. Now, Catalot, you've said that elephants are so smart. 100% agree with you. I don't think there's one person on this team that would dispute the intelligence of an elephant. I think, if anything, we underestimate it. They are a creature that anybody can fall in love with. One thing watching them on TV, but like I said, to be here and to have them around you, have a conversation with an elephant is probably one of the most amazing things. And then to see the elephant almost reacting to what you're saying. Not that they can understand English, of course, but just again, the tone, the emotion that you've got in your voice, it's evident that the elephants can totally relate to that. Hey, little one, you listening very carefully to what I've got to say while you munch on a knob thorn. Is it delicious? It's a bit prickly, though. See how it's actually sticking his trunk deep down, trying to copy Mom underneath and get all that nice vegetation. Now, a question that comes through quite often, and it's got regards to their temporal glands, which is the gland that's situated between their ear opening and their eyes. It's a very subtle gland. And this question's from Anna, and you were wondering if little elephants get that secretion just like big elephants do. Yes, most certainly. It's a common mistake to identify an elephant bull and must just by his temporal glands. Obviously, this is most certainly a sign, but there are other things that go with it, so like the dribbling of urine. So little elephants and females also get these secretions, and what the theories behind it is that is an overstimulation of adrenaline. So it could mean a number of different things. It could mean that they're stressed. It could mean that they're really excited. Maybe it's got to do because they're stressed because of the lack of food and water, or because they're perhaps going to have a calf soon. Maybe an elephant bull has been harassing the herd. There's so many different things. So yes, you're completely correct, Anna. Little elephants, big elephants, male, female, they can all secrete that liquid from their temporal glands. I didn't really see it too much in any of these elephants. Well, maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Let's see if we can go up a little bit further and get one more view. They are moving now away from the road and heading sort of further and further into the thicket. So we'll try and see if we can get another view, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with them a little bit later. Now it seems as though Ali is tracking me this morning. She's on the way towards Buffalo's Hook Dam. That's where we just were. So I'm going to send you back across to her.
Well, we tried tagging Cheetah, but then we decided against it. We decided that maybe we should have gone and tracked for lions. No, just done a bit of a boundary round, pretty much, see if there's anything coming up, or if Taylor just around here. I don't think she did, but there's nothing around here. It's been quite a quiet morning. I'm sure it's because of all this wind and everything else that's popping around, but it seems like Taylor managed to find the golden pocket where all the animals were sitting, and I'm sure they were all looking very fluffy and warm where they were. We are going down on Cheetah cut line now. Brendan, you say why? What about with the question, I can't even talk. What about finding some wild dogs? Yes, that is also one of my intentions. I have these dreams. So Craig and I were driving along the other day on one of the roads not too far from from Buffalo's Hook Dam. The road is called, and there was a very odd looking burrow. So I think maybe it was a burrow for a warthog. But, you know, as we drove around, we were just like, this would be perfect for wild dogs to den in. So I don't know, the ones that were seen in the dam cam yesterday, they must have gone somewhere into Torchwood. I'm not too sure what happened to them, but it was impossible to try and find them again. And I suppose that's the beauty and the very frustrating part about wild dogs, that they just carry on moving. And the grass is still slightly long, so it makes it a lot harder for us to try and spot them. So like I said, I have this dream that they're gonna go and den in this particular den that we saw. It's an unused old termite mound, but it had a lot of activity. It was looking quite shiny, so I'm sure there's something that's been using it. Maybe maybe a porcupine, maybe a warthog that knows that Tingana is not likely to come around there. But who knows, maybe we'll see them there. Look at all this wind. I'm sure you guys can hear it howling now. We are slowly but surely getting the aftermath of that storm that's been around Cape Town the last few days. So I'm sure you guys will see us freely pretty soon. Now, I want to see if there are any beautiful trees around here. Maybe this one. It is very beautiful, but not endemic. So let me just go back. All of this one around here with all these beautiful beans. Sorry, I think maybe if we see the beans it'll be interested. So all of these ones that we're looking at here, they're part of the Senna family, and I think they are believed to come all the way from Italy, if I'm not mistaken, or from Europe. I could be making that part out, so please don't quote me on it. Okay, I'm out now. Right, so all of this plant around here, very beautiful. I'm sure you saw it a lot during the summer. They get this bright yellow flowers, and there are lots of different species of senna. I think this one is the Petrusiana that we get around here, and we get some of them that are also from this area, but more like a small shrub type of thing, and they call it the Elandsby. But what I always find interesting when you find something that's not supposed to be there, they have a funny way of growing all together. So you see, we've got one here, one behind me, another one there, another one there. Whoop! I think I just killed a bean. And another one there, and another one there, and another one there, and another one there. So a lot of them around here. Now, why, you wonder, are they all around here? Well, this are probably the things that we need to blame for all of it. So the pods are very nutritious, and a lot of animals, I've seen pretty much all sorts of species of antelope come and eat them. So when they come and eat them, and when the birds, even after they digest, they come around, and then they start, you know, and they defecate, blah, 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 all around here, and that's how they slowly but surely start almost conquering an area. Also, you know, there's got to be other factors like rainfall and how good the soil is, but in general, they tend to grow all quite around them. But what's interesting as well is that there's been a recent study done on trees. You all may know that I really enjoy trees, but I found it quite interesting that they have somehow managed to prove, and again, I'm not too sure what is the actual technical science involved in this. When I read it, I understood it, but I think I've forgotten it now. So I think it's going to be a very complicated thing. They've managed to find out that mother trees, so you know, the first one, they are actually able to communicate with some of the other youngsters around in the area, with the saplings, and just help them by sending them nutrients through the root system and just helping them grow in a particular area. So I think there's a trend now. The more studies that they have been doing and the more science advances and technology with it, we are able to see that trees are not, you know, just one thing that stands there and moves with the wind, and you know, a leopard comes and sleeps on the one branch and that kind of thing, but they're actually very active, and they can communicate with one another, they can help one another, they can do all sorts of things that we thought didn't happen before. So there's been all sorts of advances. I was reading yesterday, some people, because there's apparently the timber trade, the black market for timber. I didn't even know it existed, where people actually trafficate wood, especially from those very big trees. A lot of them, I think, are being trafficked all the way from Canada, some of them from the States, and then obviously a lot of them from Africa. So there is a scientist that has managed to identify, or she's in the process of finding a unique fingerprint for each and every single tree, to then be able to prove that a particular tree came from a particular area. Because up to now it's very hard to do, because a lot of the times, well, you know, you think your tree or the wood that you're buying from comes actually from a sustainable place, or it's a species that you can use. But sometimes it's not quite the case, because it's very hard to have that traceability for trees. So lots of very awesome things happening for trees lately, and a lot of them conquering areas they're not supposed to be in, but it's fine, we'll leave them to this. I know the Sabi San has got a very big ambitious project of trying to get rid of all the invasive species, and by invasives I mean plants that are here but are not really supposed to be here. We're gonna carry on looking for more plants, but then let's go to Brent in the Mara, who's looking at a hippo grazing outside of the water.
Well, we've got possibly the most dangerous animal out of the water in Africa, a hippopotamus, and you can see this boy has had a few wounds and battles over his day, and it's quite an old scar on his bum. It's quite cute actually, like a little pink spot, and on his shoulder though, where that oxpecker is, there's actually a relatively fresh wound that the oxpeckers are keeping open. And now up here, cool. And now it's quite a cool morning. We had quite a lot of rain last night, so it looks like this gentleman is taking advantage to get a few extra mouthfuls of grass before heading back to the Mara River. Or not even possibly back to the river. He might stop in one of the little puddles or luggers that inundate the Mara. And isn't that just an absolutely spectacular scene? You can see all the Balanites trees in the distance. And it's where the Mara gets its name from. So I know a lot of you would know this already, but Mara basically means speckled or dotted in the Maasai language, and is from the single trees that dot the Mara in the distance there that it gets its name. Well played. And the hippo is a hipster with its tattoo on its bottom. Indeed it is. I wonder if it is a vegan. It's a vegan, so it's definitely a hipster. Although certain hippos break the mold with that, is they have been seen eating carrion quite regularly, and if they do find rotting flesh around, they might eat it, but only if the other hipsters aren't looking. I think that poor hippo went through a lot more pain to get that tattoo than the average hipster, although the average hipster probably thinks he went through a lot of pain to get his tattoo. Oh, quickly across to Taylor with an Ellie looking for some food.
This is on its position very quickly, and you can see that there's a massive Balanites tree here, the torchwood, and one of the little elephants trumpeted at me, and I thought that it was possibly because, oh, it's okay guys. So I'm just watching them. They're very excited. So anyways, what happened is they must have communicated in such a way, it was very quiet, and they came charging towards us. Craig and I panicked because I thought that it was maybe Mom coming to reprimand us for upsetting her little calf, and the little calf was just actually throwing a tantrum. But they're running over to look for the Balanites fruit. Do you see? Look at them. Trunks on the ground. They're pushing over all the trees, or lifting all the trees up, trying to pick the fruit up off of the ground. It is so cool. I've never seen them run like that before. And that communication that they did was completely silent. Craig and I could not hear it at all. So that's amazing, the infrasound. And of course that's how elephants do communicate, is through infrasounds. We can hear trumpeting, we can hear obviously whining of elephant, we can hear the low rumblings, which almost feels like you can feel them through your feet. But the rest of their communication, we can't hear at all. It's just too low for our ears to pick up. But I honestly have never experienced that. I can't describe to you how they ran here.